I have to return today to tell you the same story I have told you before, only with new meaning, I think. You recall a month or so ago we had a Wednesday where we observed the feast of Andrei Rublev, who was the Russian icon painter. And I told you on that day I had been to Brouhaha. And I had gone up and gotten my tea and my scone, and I was coming down the steps, and I had to divert in order to avoid someone who was asleep on the steps in that building on Main Street, getting out of the cold that day. And on that occasion, I had talked about it in the context of seeing the image of Christ in other people. Well, today I went to Brouhaha, and I went up, and I had to divert to get around somebody who was sitting on the steps and falling asleep and had obviously been there for a while. And today I wasn't confronted so much by the image of Christ as by the readings that I was going to talk about at noon today. How we keep the law, how we keep the whole law, which Jesus has very helpfully summarized for us, again quoting from the Old Testament, as love God in every possible way and love everyone else as much as you love yourself. And so I had that in my mind as I went up the stairs. Did I manage to fulfill the law? Did I love this person in a way that God would have? Not quite. Did I love this person as much as I love myself? No. But there was progress. Last time I just grumbled and went around him. Today, however, I was convicted by my own preaching because I remembered what I said last time. And to be honest, I don't think it's happened in any time since that time I spoke of the last time. And I knew what I was going to talk about today. And it occurred to me that I was going to have to think about what it means to keep the whole law. And this is where I find a certain amount of comfort in this Old Testament lesson. What we're being told is keep it always in your mind, keep it always before your eyes, it says, teach it to your children. I think there's something in that for us, that at least a piece of keeping the law is to remember what it is and to have it always in our mind so that in any situation we're never blind to it. Should I have done something else this morning? I mean, I do have this experience in my past. In order to make myself look a little better, perhaps, I have to tell you there was a time when I was at a job interview for a church in Washington and was going back into the subway, and there was a man there panhandling, and I actually did the right thing. I engaged with him, although I was in a hurry and it was hot and I was in my full priest getup. I took him inside. I bought him something to eat, much to the dismay of the people who ran the place where the food came from. I stayed in contact with somebody else who was going to be in contact with him. I did all those things. I know how to do it. The trouble is, it's so easy to let that slip from our minds and forget what it is that we know and not do it. So if the last time was about seeing the image of Christ in other people, I think today the message is about how we keep the law in ourselves, not simply as something that we refer to on a page someplace or on a sheet on the wall or carved into stone someplace, but rather what we carry in ourselves, so that as we go through our days and we have those random encounters with the children of God, we will remember what the law tells us. And perhaps once in a while, just once in a while, our conscience will be pricked enough that we will remember what it is we're supposed to do and we'll do it. So, unlike St. Paul, whom we heard last Sunday saying, imitate me, I guess the message for today I'm saying is don't imitate me in this case. Keep the law in your heart, and I will try to do the same. And perhaps the next time one of us comes across someone in need of God's love, we will recognize it and we will respond. Amen.